Hi, it's Jill Kaufman again, and I am very excited to be here with Jessica Zadjura, and we are talking about attorney negotiated divorce. When is it necessary? So, Jessica, welcome.
Hi, Jill. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I am a Maryland family law attorney. My name is Jessica Zadjura. I own my own family law practice, Zadjura Family Law. I have been a solo practitioner for the last 3 years, but I've been practicing family law for almost 15 years. So I am very well versed in all sorts of negotiation.
Well, great. So, we are going to talk a little bit about how people can negotiate their divorce, and we're starting with the party negotiates themselves. So, just briefly explain that.
Yeah, so it is oftentimes when parties are more amicable in getting their divorce and the trust has not completely broken down between the parties, whether it be related to parenting or the finances, those sorts of things. Sometimes parties can sit down together, either at the kitchen table, for example, or at a coffee shop over a period of sessions, or sometimes even one session if they're really lucky, and they can talk out the terms of their divorce and their parenting plan if they have young children kind of amongst themselves.
Right. So, if you can do that, that's great. It's the most amicable, least
Yeah.
costly, quickest. Then there's mediated divorce, which just quickly, a couple sentences.
Yeah, a mediated divorce is one where the parties go to a third party neutral who does not represent or advocate for either side. In Maryland, that could be a family law attorney who is wearing a different hat, serving in a different role. Sometimes it's a social worker or other mental health professional in this state as well. And that person, that mediator, that neutral, helps facilitate the conversation, um, where sometimes the parties don't have the words or, you know, haven't completely thought through like what the outcome of an agreement might look like or whatever the case may be. But that neutral helps facilitate that conversation so that they can then move forward in an amicable fashion.
Right. Okay. And then we're getting to attorney negotiated divorce, which I want you to go into. The final one would be litigated divorce, which is where you go to trial. So let's talk about an attorney negotiated divorce and how that's different from mediation and doing it yourself.
Yeah, so an attorney negotiated divorce is when one or both parties hires an attorney, and that attorney communicates either with the other party or opposing counsel, you know, settlement offers or a settlement proposal to negotiate through counsel. There's a lot of benefit to the parties in that. Sometimes there is a power dynamic between the parties. Sometimes there are personality differences that don't allow the parties to sit down and really negotiate those terms amongst themselves. But they really do truly, in those instances, want to keep it out of court as much as possible, but they need something a little stronger than a neutral to help that conversation. I have served in that capacity. I would say probably 85% of my cases, maybe 80% of my cases that start out as litigation end up in attorney negotiated settlements at some point throughout the process. So I have a lot of experience here. But sometimes people don't think they can have that conversation on their own behalf and advocate on their own behalf in mediation or with the other party. But they kind of want to put the brakes on litigation before it even starts. And sometimes that's where you see it. The benefit is that, the attorney can tell you, well, these are your rights in court. This is what we can ask for. This is, you know, you can ask for this, but you're not going to get it in court. And therefore, kind of stop the process in its tracks before it becomes too costly for the parties. Sometimes, as an attorney in an attorney negotiated divorce, I kind of just play in the background too and answer questions for a party and provide them a source of knowledge and a resource for them as well so that they can, it's like a hybrid between party negotiation, right, and attorney negotiation.
So that's a really great option where you're not really retaining an attorney to represent you and where your attorney has to be the person communicating with everybody. So you're not paying for every phone call and every
Yeah.
email. you are really using them more like a consultant, right? Like getting the,
Yeah, I mean, they in those instances, I know the facts of the case. I oftentimes have seen documents from my own client, those sorts of things. So I really am truly providing legal advice that is tailored to them or their facts specifically, but they want, for whatever reason, sometimes it's the other party will become defensive. Sometimes they know they can do it themselves, but they want to make sure that they're doing all of the right things. Those sorts of things. That's kind of important to them in that process.
great. That is great. Thank you so much. That's very helpful for people who are starting this process and didn't know about all these different types of ways
Yeah,
to negotiate their divorce. So
yeah.
thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome, Jill. Thank you for having me.
And where can people get in touch with you?
They can go on my website, zadjurafamilylaw.com, Zadjura familylaw.com. They can also call me 410-562-9335. That's my direct office number.
Awesome. All right. Take care.
Thank you.